time I would be speaking on macular diseases, MACTEL, CSCR, and PCV. Now, coming to MACTEL, all evidences point to loss of Muller cells as the central pathological process, and there's also an accompanied ellipsoid zone loss with some vascular distortion and abnormal anastomosis, and associated with right angle venule and neovascularization. So this is a patient who shows loss of ellipsoid zone, and there is a collapse of the retinal tissue because of the loss of support of the Muller cells. Similar in this patient, this is the left eye of the patient. Now, when you see the fundus, you would see a graying around the fovea, and you see this cavitation that occurs. Generally, this is because of the Muller cell loss. And so hence you see the loss of these layers and you see an ILM drape. Now, an OCT angiography can demonstrate very clearly the abnormal changes that occur around the macula, and there is the telangiectasia that you see very well. This is the fluorescent angiography which was being done previously to show us the same changes temporal to the fovea. Now you see these, this patient shows a typical picture of a cavity with an ILM drape and loss of ellipsoid tissue in a patient with MACTEL. And the clinical picture here, you would see a graying. So one of those very typical features of MACTEL. Now in a much later stage, you see pigments in the fundus, and that on the OCT reflects as these hyperreflective areas that you see here in the OCT. And this patient also shows loss of the ellipsoid zone and some amount of foveal thinning. That is, as the condition progresses. Similarly, you see this patient has significant foveal thinning, loss of ellipsoid zone, presence of pigments. So this is somewhat the later stage. This is stage 4 MACTEL, type 2. Now, when it comes to stage 5, there is some amount of bleeding that occurs that would generally indicate the starting of the subretinal neovascularization that is seen in MACTEL. So what you see is some amount of blood. There is an SRNV that occurs. So here you would see that this neovascularization does not lead on to much fluid exudation. You would only see some thickening that occurs in this patient, and you would see that the cavitation, the ILM drape, all the other features are present. So when you do an octa, you would see that there is an neovascularization that is present. So very rarely you see this, very rarely you see this sort of an SRF-like picture in a patient of MACTEL, and you would think that this is CSR, but this is actually this is due to loss of the ellipsoid zone and the outer retinal tissue.
Hemant, 1 second. Vinod, can you make sure that the others are muted?
Everyone, I request all of you, please keep yourself on the mute, except the speaker who's speaking. Rest, everyone, you are kindly requested to keep yourself on the mute.
Yeah,
thank you.
This is, when you do an octa, you would see that this is seen here as the neovascularization, when the changes that are seen adjacent to it. Coming to central serous retinopathy, we go from the acute to the chronic, and in the acute, you would possibly see there's a detachment that is subretinal fluid, but everything else in the retinal structure is normal. But as you go towards the chronic, you start seeing RPE changes, which is seen on the autofluorescence also. And then there's punctate crystates that you see that present in the, along all the areas, both on the posterior retinal surface and on the RPE, you would see these white crystates. This is another patient of chronic CSR. As the patient shows recurrence, you would see these white punctate crystates. As it goes to more chronicity, you would see intraretinal changes present in this patient. This is the patient who also has a thickening of the choroid. So the pachychoroid spectrum would also produce the epitheliopathy, which causes CSR picture. So there are other factors that come in pachychoroid, but here one would see that this is only due to CSR. As it becomes chronic, you would also see ellipsoid zone loss. That would mean that there is a chronic CSR. One should be aware that the vision prognosis is not good. due to shortage of time, I think because I had to connect, so I think I'll just run through PCV. Jimmy Ching in his article has very clearly mentioned that some of the conditions that you should look for a diagnosis, a non-angiographic diagnosis of PCV, that is a sharp peak PED, a sub-RP ring-like lesion, and a complex multilobular PED. A double layer sign, a thickened choroid with dilated halar, the fluid compartment are all seen in PCV. Here you can see a sharply rising PED with the double layer sign. That is very classical of a PCV. Similarly, a complex multilobular PED, a sub-RP ring-like structure, which is typical in PCV, which you see, and this is also confirmed in the ICG angiography as these two polyps. Here, in patient, you can see that there is subretinal fluid, there is a polyp, there is some degree of hemorrhage here, which is showing as shrimp. A thumb-like polyp, sort of an indentation at the polyp. All these are very typical of PCV. So in confidence, one can say that if there are three major criteria, that is the sub-RP ring-like lesion and a thumb-like polyp and a complex RP elevation, one can reasonably be certain of the diagnosis of PCV without the use of angiography or ICG angiography. So the specificity is about 0.91 and the positive predictive value is about 0.93. So this is, in short, I could say, because I think the time is up. So briefly about macular diseases, I know I had to run through a lot of it, but unfortunately, because of internet connectivity, I think I lost a lot of time.